My husband accidentally sent a photo of our luxury car to the parents' group chat at our daughter's kindergarten. The teacher immediately changed her profile picture to a heavily edited photo and added a note to her name. Sophia. Teacher, looking for a partner. A parent warned me that this teacher is a pretentious coquette. But I didn't pay much attention, until one day, when I was educating my daughter, she suddenly screamed and pushed me away. You don't love me at all. I'm going to ask Dad to divorce you. I want Miss Sophia to be my mom. It turns out that this pretentious coquette kindergarten teacher wants to be her mom. I just wonder if she can afford to take care of this father and daughter pair. Chapter 1. For my husband's birthday, I secretly bought him a globally limited edition supercar to surprise him. When he saw it, he was so happy that he took several photos with the car and sent them to me, expressing his gratitude. But he accidentally sent them to our daughter's kindergarten parent group chat. I told him to quickly retract them, but someone had already seen it. The group chat exploded. Lucy's dad, wow, that's so cool. Lily's dad, amazing. Lara's dad, this supercar is a globally limited edition. Only 3 in all of Asia. Many parents started chiming in, and some even asked what industry my husband worked in to afford such a car. My husband said he just got lucky and made some money. I felt a bit uneasy at that moment. He owns a gym, which I invested in. With his abilities, buying a supercar in this lifetime wasn't likely. But since he's my husband, I wouldn't embarrass him. So I was about to exit the chat. A prominent message popped up. Sophia. Teacher, looking for a partner. Lara's dad. Happy birthday. Cake. Cake. Heart. Heart. I frowned, remembering that her name in the group was just Sophia. Teacher of class 3. Her profile picture was a bunny. Now it had changed to a heavily edited selfie. With big eyes. Wearing a low-cut top. This seemed quite inappropriate. Didn't it? My husband, how did you know today's my birthday? Haha. Thanks. Ms. Sophia. Sophia. Teacher. Blushing. Blushing, it's in the parent information. When will you pick up Sophia? There are some things about Sophia I'd like to discuss with you privately. My husband, is Sophia misbehaving at school? Sophia. Teacher, let's talk privately. Please approve my friend request. The conversation abruptly ended. Chapter 2. I thought something had happened to my daughter at kindergarten, so I quickly messaged her teacher privately. But after sending the message, there was no response. I had no choice but to ask my husband. He replied that he would immediately go to the kindergarten and let me know what was going on afterward. As I was getting ready for a meeting, a parent privately messaged me. It was a mom I had met before at the kindergarten. She warned me that the new teacher, Ms. Sophia, is a pretentious coquette and advised me to be cautious. But I didn't take it to heart. My husband and I have a clear division of responsibilities. I work outside to build my career, and he manages the home. Our relationship has always been strong. Even if someone tried to come between us, it would only be possible if there were already cracks in our marriage. I trust Alexander. He loves me and our family and wouldn't do anything reckless. But I didn't expect this pretentious coquette to target my daughter first. At first, I didn't notice any changes in my daughter. I just felt that she was a bit distant from me lately. Usually, when I picked her up from school, she would happily run into my arms. But this time, I could clearly sense her coldness and resistance. Why didn't Dad come to pick me up? I wanted Dad to pick me up. I told her that Dad was at home cooking, and she turned her face away, ignoring me. I thought I had been too busy lately and neglected spending time with her. So I asked, Laura, do you want to go to the amusement park? Mommy can take you this weekend. But she rolled her eyes at me. I don't want you to go with me. I was already a bit angry at that point, but I reminded myself that she was still young and held back my frustration. I patiently tried to get her to talk about what was bothering her, to understand why she was upset with me, but she just stared angrily out the window, refusing to speak. I tried to hug her, to get closer, but she pushed me away hard. You're so annoying. I don't want to talk to you. After saying that, she started kicking the car door, demanding the driver stop so she could get out. Even the driver was shocked and stepped on the brakes, looking back at me for instructions. I told him to pull over and asked my daughter, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" She pushed me away, not letting me touch her. "I want Dad." Dad promised to go see the kittens with the teacher today. I frowned and asked, "Your dad promised that? Why didn't he tell me?" My daughter refused to answer and just kept pulling at the car door, insisting on getting out. I was furious and slapped her hand. "Tell me what's going on, or you're not going anywhere." She started crying loudly. "You don't love me at all. I'm going to ask Dad to divorce you. I want Miss Sophia to be my mom." Suddenly, a thunderous noise went off in my head. Even though I tried to convince myself that kids say things without thinking, I couldn't ignore what my daughter had said. I suppressed my anger and asked, "Who taught you to say that?" She kicked and bit me, calling me bad mom and other things. The driver saw how intense our argument had become and quickly suggested, "Ms. Song, maybe we should go home first." I held my daughter tightly and told him to drive. All the way home, she kept acting up, saying I didn't love her and that she didn't want me as her mom. When we got home, she pushed open the car door, jumped out, and ran inside, crying. Alexander came running out when he heard her. My daughter immediately started complaining to him, "Dad, divorce Mom. I don't want her anymore. Let's go find Miss Sophia." Chapter 3. Alexander's face turned pale, and he didn't dare to look at me. Alarm bells started ringing in my head, but Alexander quickly comforted our daughter. "Laura, be good. Don't cry. It breaks Dad's heart to see you cry. Dad made a little cake for you. How about I feed you?" But Laura kept crying and insisted that Alexander agree to divorce me. Alexander gave me a helpless look and coaxed her. "Okay, tomorrow Dad will divorce Mom." Only then did Laura stop crying and looked at me triumphantly. "We don't need you anymore. You'll just be alone from now on." Humph. I was so angry that my chest hurt. How could my once sweet and obedient daughter turn into this? I put on a stern face and said, "Laura, I've put up with you long enough. Is this how you talk to your mom?" She quickly hugged Alexander's neck and shrank into his arms, whining, "Dad, look at how mean she is. Like the evil stepmother from Snow White. Dad, she's bullying me." Alexander patted her back while glaring at me. "What are you doing? Laura is just a child. Why are you picking a fight with her?" After saying that, he carried her into the house. I stood outside for a while, forcing myself to calm down. After all, Alexander and I had made an agreement before we had our daughter. He was responsible for her education, and I couldn't interfere. After all, I was too busy with work and didn't have much time to care for her. If I meddled, I'd only make things worse. But whenever I had time or whenever my daughter needed me, I made sure to be there, making sure she felt my love. We had always had a good mother-daughter relationship. I don't know what set her off today. I decided to go in and have a heart-to-heart talk with her. But when I opened the door, I found her video chatting with someone. "Ms. Sophia, when will you become my mom?" On the other side, I heard a sickly sweet laugh. "Laura, do you really want me to be your mom? Then what about your real mom?" Laura snorted. "I don't want her anymore. Dad promised to divorce her." Sophia's voice was filled with barely contained joy. "Really? When?" "Just now." The old witch was so angry her face twisted. "Hee hee, Ms. Sophia, I really want you to be my mom. Then I can have lots of kittens." Sophia giggled. "Sure, then ask your dad if he's willing to let me be your mom." Alexander was also smiling at the screen with a sly look. The three of them were chatting happily, not noticing that I had already entered. Nor did they notice that I had turned on the camera behind them, recording the entire conversation. Laura started urging her dad to answer the teacher's question. "Dad, hurry up. Say yes. You said you were willing." Alexander was just about to say something when he suddenly saw me. His face turned as white as a sheet. He quickly stood up and tried to explain, "Honey, don't misunderstand. Laura is just saying nonsense." I sneered and asked, "Oh, then do you really want Ms. Liu to be Lara's mom?" Before Alexander could respond, Laura stood in front of him. "Don't you dare be mean to my dad." I was beyond angry, took a few steps forward, grabbed the iPad, and questioned Sophia. "What exactly have you been saying to my daughter?" Are you trying to drive a wedge between us? She covered her mouth in mock surprise, but the malice in her eyes was unmistakable. Ms. Lara's mom, how could you accuse me of such a thing? Then she added with exaggerated sweetness, no wonder Lara always says you're mean. Like a witch. I really feel sorry for Lara, having such an irresponsible and overbearing mom like you. I was so furious I almost wanted to reach through the screen and slap her, or scream at her, but my self-control wouldn't let me do that. I just coldly warned her, Ms. Liu, I suggest you respect yourself. What you're doing is destroying someone else's family. Stay away from my daughter. Otherwise, I'll make sure you pay the price. Her actions had completely violated the professional ethics of a kindergarten teacher. If I pursued this, she would definitely lose her job. Chapter 4. But Sophia didn't seem to care at all. Instead, she hypocritically said, I don't want to argue with you in front of Lara. It might scare her. If you really cared about your daughter, you should reflect on yourself rather than blaming others for destroying your family. Then, she turned to Lara and said, Lara, I can't video chat with you anymore. If your mom gets angry, she'll cause a scene at the kindergarten. If that happens, I'll get fired. Then you'll never see me again. After she finished speaking, she ended the call. Lara let out an ear-piercing scream, rushed over, and pushed me hard. I hate you. With that, she ran out, crying. Alexander glanced at me, sighed, and chased after her. I sat on the floor for a long time, calming myself before opening the iPad. I found that Alexander's WeChat was still logged in. I browsed through his chat history with Sophia. I discovered that Sophia had been subtly and not so subtly trying to drive a wedge between us as a couple and between me and my daughter. At first, for the first few days, she reported on Lara's school activities every day. Sophia drew a picture today, but it only included you and her. I thought she might be from a single-parent family. Sophia had a nightmare during her nap today. She cried so hard, saying her mom didn't want her anymore. Mr. Law, is your wife perhaps not paying enough attention to your child? Mr. Law, today the kids were all talking about their moms with such happiness, but Lara couldn't say a word. Her eyes were red. It was so pitiful. Later, she began bragging about how close and dependent Lara was on her. For example, Lara couldn't fall asleep during nap time without her soothing, and when she woke up, she wanted to be hugged. Lara even mentioned wanting to call her mom, and so on. She then began subtly inquiring about Alexander's work and income. In her messages, she expressed admiration and awe for Alexander. Alexander's responses were also quite telling. He never mentioned our division of responsibilities or that his entire business was supported by my investment. He just casually told Sophia that our family controlled several publicly listed companies, owned multiple properties, and had a collection of luxury cars. This had Sophia completely hooked. As I read through the messages, my anger flared up, and I felt like kicking Alexander out immediately. Has he eaten so much off my plate that he's lost his mind? But I quickly calmed down. A man can be kicked out with one swift move, but the daughter I carried for 10 months and gave birth to cannot be taken away by anyone. Though my daughter is throwing tantrums at me, she is young and impressionable, easily influenced. I can't abandon her over this. I decided to save the evidence and then contacted the kindergarten director. The director was shocked when she received my message and quickly called me to apologize. Ms. Song, what Ms. Liu did was her personal behavior and has nothing to do with our kindergarten. We will handle this matter seriously, but I'm not sure. How do you think we should deal with it? I was straightforward, fire her. The director readily agreed. Okay, don't worry. She won't be at the kindergarten tomorrow. Sophia probably doesn't know that I'm the majority shareholder of the education group behind this kindergarten. Chapter 5. The next afternoon, I received a call from the kindergarten director. She told me that my daughter was causing a scene, refusing to let Sophia leave. She even rallied the other kids in her class to join in, and now the parents were coming to the kindergarten to ask about the situation. Even Alexander was speaking up for Sophia, asking me what we should do. The director, worried, said, suddenly firing the teacher has made many parents afraid that their children will be affected. If we don't give a clear explanation, they might spread rumors and damage the kindergarten's reputation. I understood the director's concerns. She couldn't release the private chat content without my consent. So I said directly, then released the surveillance footage of Sophia instigating my daughter at the kindergarten. I trust the parents will make their own judgments. The director immediately understood. Before long, the parents' group chat was buzzing with activity. The first to speak up was the mom who had warned me about Sophia. I warned Lara's mom early on that this Sophia teacher wasn't good. She's just a pretentious coquette. I didn't expect her to be so malicious. Driving a wedge between a mother and daughter. No wonder Lara was standing up for her today. Lily's mom was also furious. She's corrupted our children. Just thinking that my daughter might have been influenced by this makes my skin crawl. Lin Jiaqing's mom, it's disgusting. What good does this do for her? Lily's mom, isn't it obvious? That day when Lara's dad posted the photo with the luxury car, she was clearly after something else. The parents all supported the kindergarten's decision, but my daughter Lara didn't seem to accept it. She had Alexander bring her to my office, where she cried and made a fuss. Ms. Sophia said it's your fault she lost her job. Mom, why are you so mean? I like Ms. Sophia. Give her back to me. I looked at Alexander and asked, what did you tell her? Instead of answering, Alexander accused me. Couldn't you have consulted with me before making this decision? You knew Lara liked this teacher, yet you still got rid of her. I was so angry that I laughed. Had he really developed feelings for Sophia? I directly showed him the chat records between him and Sophia. I asked him what he really meant by all this. He immediately got down on his knees. I swear, nothing happened between us. If she weren't Lara's teacher, I wouldn't have given her the time of day. Honey, I promise. I'll calm Lara down and help her understand your good intentions. He then grabbed my hand, looking at me pitifully. For the sake of our daughter, I agreed to give him a chance. He immediately deleted Sophia. I thought this would just be a minor episode. Nothing significant. As long as my daughter was away from Sophia's brainwashing, she'd be fine soon. I planned to take her on a trip to rebuild our mother-daughter relationship. But to my surprise, Sophia found her way to Alexander's gym. Alexander called me, saying he didn't know how to handle it and asked me to come and see. I had no choice but to cancel my afternoon plans and head to the gym. When I arrived, Sophia was there crying, surrounded by people. She was pleading with Alexander, saying she had been forced to lose her job and hoped he would speak to the director on her behalf. I really can't lose this job. My dad is sick, and his medication costs thousands of dollars a month. If I lose this job, my dad will die. People around were giving Alexander strange looks. When Alexander saw me, it was like he saw a savior. He quickly ran over to me. Honey, what should we do? Maybe you could talk to the director and let Ms. Liu return to work. At most, she could be reassigned to another class, far from our Lara. When Sophia saw me, she quickly shot me a sideways glance, then loudly wailed and knelt in front of me. Mrs. Law, I beg you, please spare me. I'm not as fortunate as you, with a rich husband who can do as he pleases. I worked so hard to get this job, and my dad's life depends on my salary. I'm begging you on my knees. Please show some mercy. Chapter 6. What a clever move, using weakness to win over strength. People at the gym who didn't know the full story started pointing fingers at me and my husband. A few regulars who were close to my husband even tried to persuade him. Mr. Law, you can't spoil your wife too much. Making someone lose their job over something so small is really heartless. Have some empathy for workers. It's not easy out there. Why push someone to the brink? Others were quick to judge me. You can tell she's just a spoiled, domineering rich lady. Poor girl. Having parents like this is just unlucky. She was just looking out for her daughter, hoping she'd pay more attention to her. What's wrong with that? You don't get it. These unreasonable rich wives can't stand to hear a bad word about themselves. Mr. Law seems like a good guy. How did he end up with a wife like that? They don't match at all. Hearing these comments, Sophia grew even bolder. Mrs. Law, I was just starting my career, full of enthusiasm, thinking that genuinely caring for the children was the right thing to do. I didn't consider things enough and cared too much for your daughter. I admit I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I promise to stay away from your daughter, okay? With that, She covered her face and cried as if her heart were breaking. At first, when I heard about her father's illness, I felt a bit sympathetic, wondering if I should give her another chance. But seeing her act this way, I realized she didn't really need this job. She just wanted to stir up trouble. Otherwise, she could have privately approached me or my husband. Why cause a scene at the gym? I looked at her calmly and said, "No, you're an adult. You should take responsibility for your actions. And what you did wasn't caring for my daughter. It was driving a wedge between us." Of course, she refused to admit it, insisting that she was only concerned for her student. "Laura distanced herself from you because you don't care about her. You're never home." To her, it's like having no mother at all. I was just overflowing with love and wanted to give Laura more care. But you were jealous of how close she was to me. So you maliciously reported me and got me fired. Don't you think that's too much? Her words sparked even more criticism against me. So that's what happened. Poor teacher. It's really disheartening. This is how young people's enthusiasm gets crushed. Who's going to dare to genuinely care for her child now? Isn't she forcing teachers to neglect her daughter? She must have something against her own kid. If she doesn't love her child, she won't let anyone else love her either. I turned to Alexander, who had been silent the whole time. "Aren't you going to say something?" Alexander hesitated, then said, "Honey, let it go. Ms. Liu meant well. Let's not make a big deal out of it." I laughed bitterly. "So you think she's in the right, and I'm the one at fault?" Alexander looked helpless. "Honey, don't be like this. It's not easy for people like her. Why be so harsh?" I stared at Alexander, slowly nodding. He thought I had given in and quickly helped Sophia up. "Don't cry. I'll help you sort out your job. My wife just has a bit of a temper. Don't take it to heart. Laura really likes you, so we'll still need your help with her." Sophia, thinking she had one, glanced at me with disdain and said, "As if I'd dare. I'm afraid your wife would tear me apart." Chapter 7. I watched the two of them acting so in sync, a slight smirk playing on my lips. When did I agree to let her go back to the kindergarten? "Alexander, don't you think you're being a bit too arrogant?" Alexander's face immediately darkened. Sophia, completely unaware of the danger she was in, continued to stir the pot. "Mr. Law, how can she talk to you like that? You're the head of the household, and she's disrespecting you like this in front of others. It's too much." Alexander, clearly getting carried away, actually glared at me. "Laura Song, don't push it too far." I crossed my arms and asked, "What if I am pushing it? What are you going to do?" He snapped, "Aren't you afraid that Laura and I will both ignore you?" So, he was going to use our daughter to manipulate me. Sophia added fuel to the fire. "If you really get divorced, I'm sure Laura would choose her dad. Laura told me that she loves her dad the most, and it's like having no mom at all." Alexander seemed to think he could control me with our daughter. "Laura, how long are you going to be so stubborn? Can't you think about the child? About me? Ms. Liu is good to the kids. Any other mother would be thrilled, but you just had to drive her away. You're being completely unreasonable." I looked at him and asked, "So, are we getting a divorce?" His face turned pale, and just as he was about to say something, Sophia jumped in. "Mrs. Law, how could you be like this? Always using divorce to threaten your husband. You're a mother. Doing this isn't considering your child at all. Laura is so pitiful. My heart aches for her." I smiled and responded, "So that's why you had my daughter call you mom? Why you incited her to come home and fight with me, to force me to divorce her dad? You're slandering me. I never did anything like that." Sophia's face flushed, and her voice wavered as she denied it. She quickly turned to Alexander. "Mr. Law, I don't think she loves you or Laura at all." I looked at Alexander with a smile. "Are we getting a divorce?" "I'm waiting for your answer." He was cornered, especially with the onlookers eagerly waiting, as if he wouldn't be a real man if he didn't say he wanted a divorce. "Fine, let's get divorced." As soon as Alexander said those words, his legs visibly wobbled. I nodded with a chuckle. "Assistant, notify the lawyer to draft the divorce papers and bring them immediately." Now, Alexander was in a panic. But Sophia could barely contain her glee. Alexander quickly rushed over to me. Honey, no. I was just speaking out of anger. I didn't mean it. We're not getting divorced. Sophia, taken aback, asked, Mr. Law, why are you begging her? A woman like her isn't worthy of your love, and she doesn't deserve to be Lara's mom. Ask Laura if she even wants this woman as her mom. Alexander shook off her hand and grabbed my arm. Honey, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Let's not get divorced. The people around us were now looking at Alexander with disgust. What a simp. Even rich people can be so pathetic. But Alexander wasn't listening to them anymore. He just kept holding on to me, begging me not to hold this against him. Sophia, unable to stand it, grabbed Alexander. Mr. Law, stop begging her. She doesn't deserve it. I even saw her with another man entering a hotel last time. She's so eager to divorce you. She must have planned this all along. A woman of such low morals isn't worthy of you. Chapter 8. The gym was filled with gasps of shock. All eyes were on me, full of disdain and judgment. I turned to Sophia, who was staring at me as well. What's wrong? You did it yourself. And now you're afraid of people talking about it. Ah. I raised my hand and slapped her hard. She held her face, staring at me in disbelief. You dare hit me? I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Call the police. I'd like to report something too. What gives you the right to call the police? I'm going to report you for spreading obscene rumors. She was still smug. I saw it with my own eyes. You went into a hotel with a man. You were all over each other. It was obvious you had an improper relationship. I looked at the crowd and said, you all heard that. She claims she saw it with her own eyes. But I don't remember any such thing. Either she's lying, or I was drugged and assaulted. Either way, I'm calling the police. With that, I dialed the police. Sophia panicked and tried to run, but I had already instructed the security to lock the doors. No one is leaving until the police arrive. Especially you. Sophia looked at Alexander, Mr. Law. But Alexander, as if waking from a dream, asked her, did you really see that? Sophia, clearly uneasy, nodded anyway. A glimmer of hope appeared in Alexander's eyes. Laura, don't forget our prenuptial agreement. Sophia, curious, asked, what prenuptial agreement? Alexander's lips curled into a smile. Laura, I want a divorce. As the guilty party in our marriage, you'll have to split the assets 50-50. With that, he suddenly hugged Sophia and kissed her on the cheek. Thank you, Sophia. I can finally get rid of Laura. I won't have to put up with her nonsense anymore. When the police arrive, you need to testify that she's been unfaithful. Sophia, still a bit dazed, nodded at Alexander's words. The onlookers, who had been about to leave, stayed put, excited by the sudden twist. Alexander was already calculating on his phone how much of the assets he would get after the divorce. But Sophia was still confused and asked, Mr. Law, if she's the guilty party, why would you only get half of the assets? Why are you being so generous with her? Alexander blushed, unable to respond. I smiled and explained to Sophia, because he doesn't have any assets. When we got married, he only had 300 yuan to his name, couldn't even afford a ring. Since then, he hasn't worked a single day. I fully funded this gym. Sophia looked at me in disbelief. That's impossible. Mr. Law told me he owned dozens of properties and had shares in several publicly listed companies. He said he even had stakes in some of the top companies in the country. I turned to Alexander, smiling as I asked, is that so? You're so impressive. How come I didn't know? Alexander, now enraged, snapped, it doesn't matter. After the divorce, I'll get half. I didn't lie. I asked him, are you sure you want a divorce? Alexander sneered, of course. I've had enough of you. Once I get my share of the billions, I can marry any woman I want. Sophia's eyes lit up at the mention of billions. She looked like she couldn't wait to marry Alexander. Just then, the police arrived and asked about the situation. I played the recording of what Sophia had said and asked the police to investigate the truth. The officer looked at Sophia. Miss, you should be aware that spreading false rumors can have legal consequences. Sophia insisted that she wasn't lying. The officer immediately began taking notes, the time, place, and description of the scene and the man. Sophia stammered out a made-up time and place but started getting vague when it came to describing the man. She claimed she couldn't remember clearly and had only seen his back. Or something like that. Chapter 9. The officer said, "We'll be reviewing the hotel surveillance footage and guest records." I smiled and said, "Officer, I can prove she's lying, because at the time she mentioned, I was in France for a meeting. You can check my entry and exit records. My assistant and several senior executives from my company can also testify." My assistant immediately stepped forward to back me up, even pulling up my itinerary and hotel records from my stay in France on that day. Chapter 10. Sophia panicked. "Well, maybe I just got the time wrong." The officer saw right through her lie. "Sophia, I'm reminding you again that spreading false rumors can lead to legal consequences." The people around also began to see through Sophia's nervousness, starting to question her credibility. I decided to show everyone the chat logs between Sophia and Alexander. The messages revealed Sophia sending Alexander some rather explicit photos, leaving little to the imagination and making her intentions very clear. Her goal in spreading these lies was to destroy my marriage. I hope the police will handle this matter seriously. The crowd watching was stunned. What a twist! So she was trying to sabotage their marriage on purpose. She's really devious. Mr. Law was just living off his wife. No wonder he was acting so submissive earlier. If I were him, I'd be a simp too. The police took Sophia away. Alexander was in shock because he realized that Sophia had most likely been lying all along. I gave him a small smile before walking away without looking back. Alexander quickly ran after me. "Honey, I was wrong. I shouldn't have believed her. I was just so angry that I lost my mind and said those things. You shouldn't take them seriously. I love you. That's why I got so upset." I glanced at him. "Alexander, have these years with me made you feel wronged? Well, you won't have to endure it any longer." He tried to follow me, but my assistant and driver blocked his way. Enraged, Alexander shouted, "If we divorce, Laura will definitely choose me. I'll take her far away, and you'll never see your daughter again." I rolled down the car window, smiling at him. "Go ahead. Do you really think you can use our child to manipulate me?" Chapter 11. Sophia was taken to the police station, and it didn't take long for her to confess. She admitted to spreading the rumors, hoping it would lead to Alexander divorcing me because she believed he was a wealthy man. Since her actions didn't cause any major public harm, the police suggested we settle the matter. But I wasn't interested in settling. I was determined to press charges for defamation, even if she didn't face jail time. I wanted her detained for a while and left with a criminal record. Alexander, on the other hand, was adamantly against the divorce. He began showing up every day with our daughter, trying to win me over. At first, he played the sympathy card. When that didn't work, he started using our daughter to threaten me. "Mom, if you divorce Dad, I'll hate you forever. I'll never speak to you again. And when you die, I won't even attend your funeral." By then, I was completely disillusioned with Laura, my ungrateful daughter. Although Sophia had intentionally manipulated her into hating me, Laura wasn't entirely innocent. The home surveillance footage captured their secret conversations. Sophia used snacks and little treats to completely win her over. Laura thought I was too strict for not letting her eat junk food, watch endless cartoons, or scroll through short videos on her phone. But Sophia indulged her every whim. So she adored Sophia and wanted her as a mother. She even pushed Alexander to divorce me and pursue Sophia. She went as far as to video call Sophia herself, helping Alexander set up dates with her. "Don't worry, I don't need you at my funeral. After all, with all the money I have, plenty of people would fight to be my daughter. Besides, I'm still young. I can always have more kids." That broke her down. She cried and called me a bad mom, vowing never to speak to me again. Realizing he couldn't manipulate me through our daughter, Alexander finally gave up, but he still refused to sign the divorce papers, dragging it out. In the end, I had no choice but to take him to court for a divorce. Thanks to our prenuptial agreement, he couldn't take anything except the custody of our daughter. Chapter 12. After Sophia was released, she found out that Alexander and I had divorced. She assumed Alexander had received a large sum of money and eagerly married him. It was only after the wedding that she realized Alexander was broke, living off the child support I provided for our daughter. She regretted it deeply. Her attitude towards Alexander and Lara took a complete 180-degree turn. At first, she threatened Alexander to get more money from me, or else she would divorce him. But when Alexander couldn't get a single cent from me, she started berating him for being useless and began using our daughter to blackmail me. You're giving such a small amount in child support. How is that supposed to cover anything? If you don't give me more money, don't blame me if your daughter suffers while she's with me. I didn't say a word and blocked her. After that, any attempts she made to contact me were intercepted by my assistant. A year later, after enduring hardships under Sophia's care, Lara finally came to her senses. She called me, Mom. I was wrong. There's no one in the world who treats me better than you. Mom, please forgive me. I promise I'll listen to you from now on. After all, she is my daughter. It's impossible to say I wasn't moved, but I wanted to teach her a lesson that would leave a lasting impression, to make her appreciate the privileged life and love I had given her, to stop taking my efforts as her mother for granted. I initiated a new custody battle and won Lara back, changing her last name to Song. After a year of hardship, she had matured significantly. She also became much more diligent in her studies. I knew she was still afraid I might abandon her, but I never used such words to provoke her again. I made every effort to spend time with her, and while I remained strict, I also gave her plenty of love and a sense of security. Gradually, she returned to her former lively and cheerful self. During this time, her father made multiple attempts to contact her, asking for money. She refused each time before telling me and asked, Mom, was it right for me to do that? I responded, listen to your heart. Do you think you should give him money? She shook her head, then thought for a moment before saying, Dad's an adult. He can work to earn money. I'm still a kid, and all my money comes from you. I can't use your money to do him favors. And besides, he's asking for hundreds of thousands at a time. I don't even have that much. When Dad gets old and I'm grown up and earning my own money, I can give him some to live on. I felt immense pride. Now that was more like my daughter. It was clear that I had been wrong to leave Alexander in charge of raising her. He was a freeloader with no ambition. How could he raise a good child? Under my guidance, Lara grew into an exceptional young woman. She got into her dream university, studied the major she loved, and became an outstanding doctor. It was tough, but she was happy. Sophia and Alexander's marriage didn't last long. They both cheated and ended up divorcing. Sophia tried her old tricks again, working as a nanny for a wealthy family and getting involved with a married man. She attempted to break up the relationship between the mother and daughter of the household, just as she had done before. But this time, the wife, who suffered from severe bipolar disorder, impulsively poured boiling water over Sophia's head. She was severely burned, and her face was disfigured. The incident was so severe that it made the news. That likely marked the end of Sophia's manipulative green tea tactics. As for Alexander, he didn't fare much better. After leaving me, he tried to latch onto another wealthy woman, and he actually managed to do it, thanks to his looks. Finding a rich older woman who owned a beauty salon. The only problem was that she was older than his mother. But Alexander couldn't change his ways. While living off the rich woman, he used her money to date younger girls. When she found out, she beat him so badly that he ended up in the hospital. Rumor has it that after that incident, he was qualified to practice the sunflower manual. After that, he completely disappeared. Even Lara lost contact with him. Lara still had feelings for her father and even reached out to her most despised person, Sophia, to find him. But from Sophia, she learned many sordid details about Alexander. After that, she never mentioned him again. Instead, she grew increasingly dependent on me, and more willing to follow my advice. As she put it, Mom, you're successful in your career, sharp-minded, and can offer me much better guidance in life. As for me, I remained busy with my work, passionate about my career. I continued to live a life full of excitement and purpose.